It is Tuesday, January 15, 2019, and this is the Bottoms of the Barrel Comedy Showcase at Shakers! Yes! Shakers is located at 3160 North Clark, right off the Belmont Red Line stop. We have Joe behind the bar. How are you doing, Joe? Joe's cute, and I won't be offended if anyone talks him out of his shirt. Now we have drink specials tonight. We've got $3 domestic bottles, $4 well drinks, and $4 Fireball and Jaeger shots. I am your host, Thomas Bottoms, and let me be very clear and blunt. After 10 years of doing comedy, oddly enough, doing comedy in this very room since March of 2010, I'm tired of relying on talent. I'm ready for the casting couch. Please buy me a drink. Vodka is my little black dress. It goes with everything. Yes. Some people have tried to challenge me on that. They're like, vodka, prune juice, that's called a colon blow, baby. It is hot up in the nursing home. Oh, trust me on that one. So if you want to buy me a shot or buy me a drink, please feel free if you are not buying yourself your own drink. I did give up for this year, starting J1. I gave up alcohol and 420. I did. Worst 10 days of my life. Oh Lord, I'll never get that time back. I missed the after Christmas sales. It just wasn't worth it. I don't know. But I did set some New Year's resolutions. I'm also going to start working out. I get up every morning and I do some push-ups, some sit-ups, run to the Dunkin' Donuts to get a donut. I'm going to do workouts that I know will work. I have an elliptical, so I do 25 minutes on the elliptical while watching an adult movie. Yes, I like to set realistic body goals. I do have to wonders, though, you know, an adult male in a gay adult movie with brown eyes, like, can we call them triclops? Where are we at? I don't know. Y'all get that on the way home. You'll get that on the way home. I also want to do a workout that I know will work. Jane Fonda aerobics videos. Yes! She did those 40 years ago. She still has an amazing figure. I mean, she has us doing those knee lifts, and there's the grapevine, and this move. I call it pay the landlord. Have not been evicted. I have been catching up on my Netflix. I finally saw Bird Box.
Bird Box.
Yeah, that was the oddest sequel to Sandra Bullock's The Blind Side I've ever seen. Just odd. So we're gonna go ahead and get this going, everybody. Are we ready for our first comedian? Are we ready to have Usually I feel I'm the guy with the most makeup on in the room, but he proves me wrong. You might know him if you've ever been to Hot Topic as H.I.M., but here we call him Trevor Gertonson.
This makeup is me and Amy Winehouse. We're rocking that. So you guys, my name is Trevor, and I was always ashamed of that name growing up. The name Trevor, because no one was ever called Trevor. I didn't know any Trevors growing up, and it seemed like every time I introduced myself, someone they'd mispronounce it. And I still kind of to this day. Like, I was just talking to a customer service representative. They had me spell my name for them, and afterwards they're like, "All right, I just want to make this right. So that's T as in Thomas." And I said, "No, that was T as in Trevor." We just went over this. So I'm wearing makeup. It's 2019. It's not really a big deal. I do find it entertaining, though, that it's only straight guys that ever confuse me for being gay. The straight guys seem to go, "Oh, look at the guy's makeup. He's obviously a homosexual." Then a gay guy will seem to go, "Look at how poorly that guy applies makeup. He's definitely not homosexual." So I saw a study that said people that read 30 minutes or more a day tend to live longer lives, which I thought was depressing because I like to read. And I get all my books off Amazon, and I got one in the mail recently, and it came with a free bookmark. And I got pretty excited because I'd never gotten a free bookmark before. But when I opened up and I looked at it, all it said on the bookmark was, AIDS is closer than you think. What the hell did I just buy? That's a horrible fortune cookie, let me tell you. But I did read this article that said a 22-year-old girl was eaten alive by her pit bulls. And that was really sad. But then after that, all these people started saying, see, that's why people shouldn't be allowed to own a pit bull. That's exactly the reason why. I was like, well, that's why she shouldn't be allowed to own a pit bull. Yeah, because you got to have an animal that's appropriate for who you are. Like, I got a 2-pound cat. That way, if the shit goes down, I can probably get out of there, right? There was a guy in Maine. He was taking his new dog for a walk. A bear came out of the woods, attacked his new dog. He punched the bear and kicked it. The bear ran away. That guy can own a pit bull. He may even own that bear. That's impressive. I think that true crime is really big right now. They have all these podcasts and documentaries. And I was listening to one of these podcasts, and they talk about how serial killers all have this common characteristic, a common trait. And that common trait is that they all have substance abuse problems. And I thought that was really interesting, because I thought the most common characteristic among serial killers was that they were murderers. Number one. But I do like how they always bring up the shallow grave whenever they're talking about serial killers. And I like the shallow grave thing because it's the only thing that makes them relatable. Right? Because I can't relate to murdering someone. I think murder's a horrible thing. I would never do that. But you know what I can relate to? Not wanting to finish digging a hole. That's pretty great. And I love watching detective stories. I love crime stories. I love the ones with the renegade cop, right? Detective has something to prove. He's always 3 days late to a crime scene, shouting about how you're never supposed to move the body. Every time they yell that, I'm always wondering who's moving the bodies. Like, who walks into a room full of dead people and goes, you know what? I need to make adjustments. I would be terrible at a crime scene. I used to have roommates, and if I ever came home and opened the door and everyone was dead inside, I would shut the door and leave. Murder happened in there. It's not like lightning. It always strikes the same place twice. Man, I'm glad Halloween's over because I end up watching too many haunted house documentaries and movies and things like that. They're always the same. It's always supposed to be a true story. And it's always this family moves into a new house. And then all this weird stuff starts to happen. And so they get some kind of paranormal investigator to show up who always says the same thing. They go, oh, your house has a demonic presence. You need to take your family and get out of here. And it's always the dad who says the same thing every time. The dad says, but we just bought this house. It's all we could afford. Which makes me glad that I rent, right? Because here's the thing, like that demonic house is the only house that I could afford, right? And what's the worst thing that can happen to you when you rent, right? You're in your apartment, some weird stuff starts to happen. Someone goes, hey, Trevor, guess what? Your apartment, it's got a demonic presence. What are you going to do? I'm like, well, I'll probably just break the lease. Grab my cat and get out of here. I think problem solved. And I think there's a lot of bad advice out there, especially if you've been in a relationship for a long time. I've been in a relationship for about 8 years. And at one point, we took this bad advice. The bad advice that we got was you got to spice things up in the bedroom. That's how you keep your relationship strong. So we thought we'd try that. We went to a sex shop to buy a sex swing. But then we saw how expensive the sex swings were, and we're like, how about a door swing, right? Let's take it down a notch. So let me tell you, if you haven't had sex with a door swing, I'll explain how it works. Basically, you take all this bondage gear out of the box, you put it on the other person, you hang them on a door, you stare at each other uncomfortably, then you take them off the door and have sex in the bed like a normal person. That's how you have sex with the door swing. It's fun. I think, I don't know. I think as people, we're all crazy about sex. It's interesting. I was watching this documentary about prostitution in the 70s. And I realized when I was watching this that I know absolutely nothing about prostitution. Like at one point, my girlfriend turns and goes, "Hey, I see the pimp's taking all the money and I never see him dispersing it back to the women. Like, how much of a cut does a pimp take?" I was like, "I have no idea." So I took to Google and I typed in, "How much of a cut does a pimp get from his hoe?" Which is probably the whitest thing I've ever written in my entire life. And it came up with all these search results with pimps, a bunch of interviews with all these pimps, and it turns out pimps are an unreliable source of information. It's very unhelpful. But now I'm worried, right? Like, I'm afraid that my mom will come to visit sometime. She'll want to use my computer. She'll type in the words, "how much?" And the very first thing that's going to pop up is, "of a cut does a pimp get from his hoe?" And my biggest problem with that is that it makes me sound really concerned about the pimp. And that is not the side I want to be on. That is not. And I'm at the age, most of my friends are married and they have kids. A lot of those kids are starting to get like elementary school and things like that. One of my friends called me and told me that his little daughter just learned about stop, drop, and roll. Right, fire safety. I was like, oh, I vaguely remember that. I mean, it kind of like, you never think about it, but I do remember learning that when I was a little kid. But I think that elementary school is a little young to be teaching them stop, drop, and roll. Right? I think we should be teaching that to college kids. That's the appropriate age. So I don't know about anyone else here, but college was the only time that I saw anyone light themselves on fire. There was this girl, she was trying to light a bomb. And instead of lighting the bomb, she lit her own hair on fire. And at no point during that time did she stop, drop, or roll. She just sat there till we threw water in her face. It's my personal opinion. Here's the thing. If you see a child on fire, you set that child on fire. Alright, so I'll leave you guys with this. About a year ago, my grandma died, and I went back to Minnesota to go to the funeral. And when I went there, they were doing this photo slideshow of all these pictures of the course of her life. And a lot of these pictures took place at family reunions. And the thing is, like, most of the family reunions I attended was back when I was in high school. And the thing is, when I was in high school, I was a goth kid. I had long black hair that I hung in my face. But I'm also 6'5". So in all photographs, I got to stand in the back. So as they're showing all these pictures, you had all these smiling, happy people in the front. And then the girl from The Ring standing behind them. Which had to look really weird to anyone who didn't know who I was, right? It's like, yeah, of course your grandmother's dead. The Grim Reaper's been tracking her for like 20 years. Thank you guys.
Yay! Trevor Gertonson, everybody, give him a round of applause. Oh goodness, you talked about buying a door sling. I used to sell those. I worked at Batteries Not Included in Boys Town. I had to upsell lube. We had a toy called the Great American Challenge. It was about this thick, about the size of my knee all the way to the ground, and weighed about 20 pounds. Now, I support the troops, but I'm not up for that challenge. No, my underwear choices will always be boxes or briefs, never depends. I hate my day job, I have to admit that. I do. I'm glad that the holiday season is over, because I had to go to one of those holiday parties, and I hate hanging out with coworkers and not getting paid for it. Am I the only one? I don't know. I have to cross train tracks to get to my office, and it occurred to me, Thomas, if you throw yourself in front of this train, you won't have to go to work. A friend of mine said there's other ways to get out of work. I said, I know, but I don't want to use my sick days. My boss is always in my business. She's like, Thomas, there's no I in team. And I looked at her and said, yeah, and there's no us in promotion. There is a me in team, though, but you gotta take it the back way. They made fun of me the other day. They're like, oh, hey, Thomas, how do you like your coffee? Black? And I'm like, there's other ways you can have that. There's a whole assembly line. There's the basic black coffee, that's the Wesley Snipes. It gives you the Bernie Mac eyes. Then there's the black coffee with a heavy sugar. That's the Tay Diggs because it's really sweet. Then there's the coffee with a little sugar, little cream. That's your Denzel Washington's Michael B. Jordan. Everyone seems to like that one pretty well. Then there's the coffee, the heavy cream with no sugar. That's the Terrence Howard. Oh yeah, I saw Hustle and Flow. You can tell the man's a good actor because he didn't want to hit those women. And then there's the coffee with heavy cream, heavy sugar. That's the Shimar Moore. And then there's they asked how about the iced coffee, Thomas? And iced coffee is one of those, I will take it any way offered to me. That is called the LL Cool J. I one time was in a bookstore looking through the LL Cool J workout book, page after page of him in a ill-fitting tank top, sweating. A friend asked if I was going to buy the book. I said, buy the book. I'm going to ask if they have a back room. So, yeah, my company, they had me try and get involved in the whole take your child to work day. Yeah, I'm a gay man with 5 cats. I don't want to deal with anything I can't euthanize. Whenever I think I might possibly want to have a child, I just go to Walmart on a Saturday afternoon. I'm cured. I'm cured. Are we ready for our next comedian? Are we ready? Give a round of applause for Harry Breitner.
All right, I know that, we have to follow strict FCC guidelines on this show, and that means that I can't swear, but the government is shut down, so fuck it, right? Listen, I respect the FCC. I'm not worried about government censorship guidelines because this administration is in no way careening us closer to fascism, so should be fine. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but over the summer in Washington, D.C., there was a Nazi rally, but only 6 Nazis showed up. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that great? As a Jewish person, I felt very affirmed that the Nazi numbers were dwindling. It felt like the oil was running low in their tiki torches. The irony, of course, being if they had just been a little nicer to us Jews, we could have shown them how to make the oil last in those torches for 8 more days. Listen, a lot of people think we should punch Nazis. Maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. I'm not sure, and I don't have an answer to that question, but I do think that we should tickle Nazis. Because nobody likes being tickled, right? And it'd be very difficult to convince people that you're a genetically superior master race if you're literally brought to a shaking tremble by the gentle caress of wiggly fingertips. I'm just saying, you get one Antifa guy to tickle a Nazi, and that's going to be on the cover of every newspaper in the country, I promise you. No, I promise you, we control the media. Plus, it would be so easy to tickle a Nazi, you guys. They're constantly exposing their armpits. Crazy. They kept chanting in the streets, Jews will not replace us. Well, yeah, we go to college. Your jobs are being replaced by robots. I remember at the time they were like, listen, this isn't about white supremacy. It's not about that. This is about protecting Confederate statues. This is about protecting America's history. And we all know that that's not true. But listen, I think that we should tear down any statue of any soldier. Because for me, the metaphor is just a little too on the nose, right? We build a statue of a soldier, and then we put it in a public park. We leave it there overnight. We walk by it without noticing it. It gets rained on. Birds poop on it. It's like we treat these statues of soldiers like they're veterans. That joke always gets a little delay. Have you guys ever noticed that cans and bottles of beer like this don't have nutrition facts on them? You can't tell what the calorie count is or how much sugar is in that bottle of beer. I was curious about that and I Googled it. It turns out that nutrition facts are mandated by the Food and Drug Administration, and beer does not fall under the purview of the Food and Drug Administration. Beer is under the umbrella of a very real arm of the government called the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. To me, that does not sound like an arm of the government. That sounds like my uncle's Tinder bio. Who is the department head at the ATF? Just the ghost of Hunter S. Thompson? When you work at the ATF, do you have to wear a suit to the office, or do you just plop on a cowboy hat and rip the sleeves off of a Motley Crue t-shirt? It's not even called the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms anymore. In the 90s, they changed it, and now it's the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. I guess it just wasn't interesting enough to 13-year-old boys, and we needed to figure out how to get them to civics class. I feel like by the end of the week, it's just going to be called the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, Explosives, Tits, and Monster Trucks. I have a girlfriend now, which is surprising to most people because I look like the main character of a Pixar movie about a line of cocaine. My girlfriend called me the other morning, though, and she was crying on the phone. And I was like, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And she said to me, Harry, do you think that my dog thinks that I'm dead? And I had to explain to her, like, listen, darling, your dog doesn't think anything. Because it's a dog. No, I don't think your dog thinks you're dead. I think your dog thinks I really threw that tennis ball over there. It's still in my hand, though. It's just, death is like a much too abstract of a question for a dog to consider. You might as well just call me and be like, Harry, is my dog's feminism intersectional? I don't know. It's an important conversation to have, but maybe you should have it with somebody that isn't named after a baked good. I'm a vegetarian, but I also hate dogs because I don't want anybody to like me. I don't know, like, I don't eat meat, but if I did, I would eat a dog. I would eat a dog. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't. Like, what? They're too smart. They're not as smart as dolphins. They're too cute. Have you seen a potbelly pig? They're not as cute as those. You wouldn't eat a dog because they're man's best friend. Like, what? I don't know about you, but my best friend is an actual man because I'm not a loser. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a police department in Decatur, Illinois, recently came out with a statement where they said that if Illinois legalizes recreational marijuana, they're going to have to put down all of their police dogs. And I think that sounds really very extreme. But if that's what it takes to kill a few dogs, I could get into it. So I work at a bar that has a jukebox, which means that I have to hear the song Don't Stop Believin' 5 to 7 times every day. We all know, like, the place that Don't Stop Believing has in the cultural zeitgeist, right? We're all familiar with it. Like, if you go to a bar, you're gonna hear it on the jukebox. Every white person in the bar is gonna sing along. It's gonna be loud and obnoxious. But what I've noticed is that Don't Stop Believing is actually not the only Don't Stop Believing. There are, in fact, several Don't Stop Believings. For instance, I'm from Florida. And if you're Florida white trash, then your Don't Stop Believing is Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard, right? Yeah. If you have a favorite brand of chewing tobacco, then your Don't Stop Believing is Wagon Wheel. You guys remember that song, God Bless America, right? God Bless America. You guys know that song? That song is the Don't Stop Believing for 9/11. I'm Harry Breitner.
Harry Breitner, everybody, give him a round of applause. Yes. Harry, I have to admit, I am one of the few white people out there, I outright hate Journey. I stopped believing a long time ago. And let me just say, when he's singing, just a boy born and raised in South Detroit. South Detroit's Windsor, Canada. Straight up is. My Detroit people recognize, have applause. It's Windsor, Canada. But you also mentioned the shutdown, and the TSA is not getting paid, which thankfully I'm not air traveling anytime soon, because me and the TSA just don't get along. They confiscated my acne cream. I was like, that's my acne cream. They're like, oh, you don't have bad skin. I was like, I will now. And they said, I'm just doing my job. And it's like, yeah, if you did your job 17 years ago, we wouldn't have these problems. So my next goal when I go through TSA is when, they get to third base and start patting me down, I'm just going to start singing the national anthem. And if they ask why, it's because if you slip in a finger, I'll hit the high notes. Our next comedian, I don't know how high he can hit, but give a round of applause for Robert Rowe!
Thank you. So, I probably ought to begin by addressing the elephant in the room. Yes, I know I look like I used the internet to learn how to make bombs out of stuffed animals. So, talking about one of the school shootings that happened in the last year, after one of them, doesn't matter which one, a politician actually said this sort of thing wouldn't happen if kids would just be friends with these kids. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd like a more compelling reason to be friends with someone other than not wanting them to kill me. Also, if a kid's so driven that he's going to gun down his classmates, do you think he was ever really that receptive to other people to begin with? I feel like once someone might have said to him, "Hey man, we're playing basketball after school. You want to join us?" And he would have just said, "I can't. I have to go home and study the school's blueprints." So, I do go on dates occasionally, despite the fact that I tell jokes like that. And despite the fact that I sound like Chewbacca if he could speak English. I don't think I'm very good at dating, but I don't think I'm terrible at it. Mainly because whenever I've gone on a first date with a girl and she decided she didn't want a second date, she was always very nice about it. She would say something to me like, "Hey Robert, I enjoyed hanging out last night, but I don't think we're a match. But good luck finding what you're looking for." But she never said the opposite. I never had a girl who said, "Hi Robert, it was nice meeting you yesterday, but I just don't see us working out long term. I hope you die alone." I go on a lot of first dates, and some people say you should treat a job interview like a first date. And I don't think that's true, because I feel like no matter how well a job interview goes, I don't think I would want to hug them at the end of it. And I also feel like I would never on a first date want to say, "So do you have any questions for me?" So I got broken up with recently, and at first I was upset, but then I realized I might have dodged a bullet because I had been going out with a grown woman who used the word tinkle. And here's what I don't like about that word. If a woman says it, it's fine, it's cute, no one worries. But if a man says it, all of a sudden he's not allowed within 500 feet of any K through 12 schools. I don't like getting dating advice from the person I'm dating. One time I got to the end of it was a fourth date. We get to the end of the night, I kissed her goodnight, and she says to me, "We need to work on your dating profile," and I haven't heard from her since. So when I was growing up, my dad was an entomologist. For those of you who don't know what that means he studied insects. So go through this with me. As a kid, I saw my dad earn his living by going into the woods armed with a giant net, capturing bugs, and then taking them back to a lab and sticking pins in their backs. So now you know why I'm a comedian. It's because seeing that I was like, well, I guess I can be anything I want when I grow up. I gotta tell you, when I was a kid and I was just daydreaming about being a comedian, I thought, oh, it'll be so cool being a comedian. I'll be able to travel to places, or I'll travel for comedy. I'll go to New York, LA, Chicago, Florida, everywhere. And now that I actually do comedy, I have traveled for it, but it's to places like Newark, Delaware, Norristown, Pennsylvania, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Those places are about as exciting as you people sound. I didn't mean to say the you people part. I feel like I might have distanced myself from everyone by saying that. So let's see. I do a lot of writing, and I sometimes like to write in the library, and you overhear some weird things in a library sometimes, because it used to be a library was a place where you could go to read and it would be quiet. Not anymore. Now a library is a place where old people go to get help with their smartphones. But here's the thing. I overheard a librarian helping an older man set up a dating profile. And at one point, she actually had to say to him, well, 18's the youngest you can pick. I don't know if I should explain that to him. Being a comedian, I get asked weird questions occasionally. Someone once asked me, hey, would you ever do what Louis C.K. did? I was like, I can't even do that in a room where there's a mirror, much less another person. No, I wouldn't do that. Here's the thing. If I'm in a room and I'm masturbating and there's a mirror, my reflection, not masturbating. My reflection is like, all right, Robert, hurry up. That's great. Maybe after you get done, we can go out and get some real action, you coward. So, I do go on dates occasionally, despite the fact that I tell jokes like that. New Year's was recently, and I had an okay New Year's this year. Not as exciting as other years, though. One year for New Year's, I actually went to a party I wasn't even invited to. That would sound a lot cooler if it wasn't at my house. My roommate and I did not get along that year, but he was not my worst roommate, though. He was just a jerk. My worst roommate, he was a creep. First of all, he was 49. I was 24 at the time. Think about that. I was young enough to have been one of the kids that, fortunately for society's sake, he never had. But I think the creepiest thing about this guy had to be the fact that his name was Walter. You just don't trust somebody named Walter who was born after Pearl Harbor. If you had a couple now in 2019 and they were expecting a little boy and said they were going to name him Walter, what they're really telling you is, we don't want anyone inviting our son to a birthday party ever. Alright guys, that's it for me. Thomas Bottom.
Robert Rule, everybody! Give him a round of applause! Yeah. Robert, I think you and I suffer from the same problem that in high school we could never prank call people. People always recognized our voice.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. It's okay. The other joke was going to be Muppet Erotica, but I didn't want to picture you doing 50 Shades of Grey. I got to do a West Coast tour. You talked about touring places. I got to go from San Francisco to Eureka, California. We drove through the Redwood Forest to Eureka, or as I like to say, Friday the 13th Forest to Tweaker Heights. Then ended up in Eugene, Oregon. The Pacific Northwest, everyone seems to like it. They could tell I wasn't a local because I didn't wear earth tones. It's like, oh, we celebrate freedom. You can be whatever you want to be, and everyone chose boring. Now, our next comedian, I don't think he's going to bore us. Give a round of applause for Jack Allen.
Hello, how are you doing? Are you ready for some comedy straight to your face?
Yeah.
Are you ready for some comedy straight to your faces?
Yeah.
I will now be delivering some comedy straight to all of your face holes and face skin and face orifices. It ain't pancreas comedy. It ain't butthole comedy. Well, but it is some comedy straight to your face. My name is Jack Allen, but I steal so many jokes that they should call me Hack Allen. I stole that joke from a guy named Zach Allen. Take that, Zach Allen. I grew up on the mean streets of my own imagination. I am just a horse from a small town in the big city where everyone wonders why there is a horse here. Do I know why? Nay. Oh, it is great to be here. Question. Does anyone here have roommates? Yeah? I have roommates. And one of my roommates, she has freaking birds. I did not say bird. Singular, mind you. I said birds. My roommate is raising 16 quail. And they are all little bastards. But at least now she can't complain about anything that I do around the house, like, hey, Jack, you left your dishes in the sink. You know what? You have allowed over a dozen befeathered howling demons into our place of residence. Math lesson. Oh, you thought this comedy set wouldn't have math lessons? Well, surprise! It's me, Mr. Hawkins from 5th grade! There, thought you'd see me again. Math lesson. What is 8 quails plus 8 more quail?
What?
2 hours of sleep per night because they cheap away my sanity. Did anyone see the new hit film Bird Box? Hey, do you know where else is also a bird box? Yeah, it's my apartment. That is where is a bird box because of all the birds. But no, I love the eccentricities of my apartment. I love the birds. I love the boat in my living room. Oh yeah, there's a boat in my living room. Is that not a normal people thing? No, as it turns out, there's a boat there. Do you know why? Because my old roommate, who no longer lives there, you see, he's an avid boat enthusiast, and he went to live on a boat. So he left his dinghy just sitting there in our 3rd-story walk-up apartment, fully assembled, mind you. So there is no way that it could make it down to water, much less the streets of beautiful, breezy Rogers Park below. Now the quails, you can say quail or quails. Either of those is an acceptable plural, as I have learned many things about quails over the past few months. Sometimes the quails, they escape from their cage, and they get stuck behind the dinghy. And guess who is the only one in the house with gangly enough arms to fish them out? Why, if it isn't Uncle Jackie Boy. Some of my friends are starting to get engaged or become homeowners. That's nice. My home life has only turned me into a nautical bird bounty hunter. But I've come with a saying to cope with my living situation. I like to say, not my quails, not my dinghy. Like, if my friend asks me, like, hey, Jack, can you help me move? I'm like, sorry, not my quails, not my dinghy. Where was I going with the? Okay, that's the end of that long bit. Yeah, no segues here. Who likes schemes? Schemes? Yes, we have a scheme crowd. I like to pull some schemes. I have this little scheme that I'm trying to do right now, where I'm trying to convince all of the straight men that it's gay to have sex with women who don't shave. Okay, stay with me. I'm only trying to do this so I can have all the hairy women to myself. Because I don't mind. Just saying. Yeah. I have a good relationship with my mother. You know this joke is going some fun places. No, I do. But recently my mom, she told me something kind of disgusting. She told me that a friend of hers, who's like her age, hooked up with a guy who was in his early 20s. And first of all, I was like, ugh. But then I made an agreement with my mom that I wouldn't date or hook up with anyone closer to her age than mine, and she wouldn't hook up with anyone closer to my age than hers. So I'm 21, and she's 49, which means I won't do anything with anyone 35 or older, and she won't do anything with anyone 35 or younger. So sorry, 35-year-olds. Looks like you're missing out all along the line. You can't get with me or my mom. Now I'm gonna. You unlucky ducks. I'm gonna leave you with this. Are psychology jokes any good? I'm a Freud, not penis. Thank you. My name has been Jack Allen. It's all for still Jack Allen.
Yeah! Jack Allen, everybody! As Jeff Hawks said at the table, he knows how much lotion to put on the skin. When people ask my age, I usually say timeless. But tonight I'm going to be 35. I am definitely 35. You mentioned your friends getting engaged and everything. Whenever my boyfriend and I travel, they're always like, "Oh, so when are you gonna get married?" It's like, I don't want to get gay married. I look like I've been gay divorced 3 times. Now, don't forget to see Joe at the bar. We've got the $3 domestic bottles, $4 well drinks, and $4 Fireball and Jaeger shots. Someone was nice enough to give me a fireball shot, so if you want to shoot some fire down my throat, go ahead and help yourself. Do I need to rephrase that? Let's give it up for our next comedian, Mary DeMan.
Sorry about all the quails, man. Yikes. So my name is Mary DeMan, and I'm aspiring to be a late bloomer. I'm closing in on 32, so any day now. You guys, the weirdest thing happened the other day. Princess Diana learned how to open the closet. Oh, that's my cat. But either way, 2 days ago in my apartment, that would be weird. You guys, confrontation scares the bejesus out of me. Anybody else? Come on, we're comics. We just sit back and take it and then complain about it to each other later. But yeah. Confrontation scares the bejesus out of me. So I've been going through this really tough stuff with a close friend of mine who's been a real bitch. And it's been eating at me for the better part of a full year. So yesterday, I was finally like, we gotta talk later. And since I said it out loud, we have a time to talk, but I'm just kind of like, I could have held that in till one of us died and been fine and been totally fine. Okay, you guys, we're gonna get to know each other really well. I tried to have sex in a hot tub last week. Tried was the key word in that statement, because I don't know if you guys know this. But chlorine dries out your skin real good. And so it was kind of like, remember when you went in the pool as a kid and you had to wear like water wings, like arm floaties. But your arm wasn't lubed up well enough for the floaty to go on nice and smooth, and it was kind of like... Well, I was the water wing in that situation. Yeah. Right? Hot tubs don't lube nicely, you guys. Hot tubs don't lube nicely. So, just for the record, though, I'm not banging random dudes in hot tubs. I'm not 28 anymore. That was my fiance that I was banging on a hot tub. Thank you. So much. Thank you so much for your polite clapping. Okay, I'm getting married this summer, so I've been trying to hit the gym, and I've been trying to hit it hard. But I think I'm doing it wrong, you guys, because I've been hitting the gym for over a year, and I still have my full fupa, still the same pant size, but I've lost 2 cup sizes, you guys. I know, I lost my tits. I lost my tits, and hey, if anyone finds them, they have the voice of B. Arthur and the look of, hey, why the long face? So if anyone finds them, Mama's waiting. I work in an office. Anybody else? Yeah, give it up for healthcare. So I work in an office. And we have all of your stereotypical, cheers guys. You have all your stereotypical office tropes trolling around. You have the man who you've never heard speak, Dan Johnson. You all know him. You've never heard him speak. But I know a couple of things about Dan Johnson, you guys. One, he's for sure pre-diabetic because he has a bottle of Tropicana apple juice and a can of Coca-Cola every day. His skin is terrible, Dan Johnson. And 2, I know that he hates his wife. And here's how I know Dan Johnson hates his wife. Because Mrs. Johnson calls the main office line 3 times a day. And we all have direct extensions, you guys. So there's some weird power play. No one's getting laid in the Johnson household. Then you have your elderly employee who can't do anything, Solitaire Sue. Sue is her real name, and Solitaire is her real game. And then you have those 2 bitches. You guys know who I mean, right? Hair, makeup, nails, clothes, all on point. They'll talk shit about you right in front of your face. You won't even know it. I also go to the gym with those 2 bitches, and man, they can like work the shit out of those burpees, and you only see one perfect sweat drop dripping down their porcelain faces as I am like a puddle in the back of the room. My God! And I hate these 2 bitches so much, you guys, because they're 55. And they're on point. And I know that when I hit 55, I'm going to look like Hagrid. So there's that. Speaking of looking like Hagrid, I grew up as a fat kid. Anybody else? Woo! Yay! Super fun. And not only was I the fat kid, but I was a 200-pound 7th grader with a full head of pubes named Mary DeMan. Yeah, that's the reaction from the 7th graders. Thank you so much. I grew up that way, and I thought that I would never get laid, you guys. I thought it was never going to happen for me. But junior year of college, that day finally came. And then 5 years later, I finally came. so much. I want to go back to that snowy evening, my junior year of college, for a second. His name was Michael Denson Jr., and he's an awkward ginger lad who just married the love of his life, Brian. And you guys, I'm so happy for him that he finally figured his shit out. I went to the wedding. It was fantastic. But I should have had an inkling because, you see, he wanted to do it in our theater department's production office. So he could clear a desk and make a grand entrance, which he narrated with, "Here she is, boys!" And a grand entrance it was. I'm gonna leave you with this. I grew up as a fat kid. I'm still a fat kid. It's getting better, but I got a long way to go. But I'll always be a true fat kid at heart because I firmly believe that everything is better with sour cream. Right? Come on, you guys. Tacos. Potatoes. Ass. You know what they say, do a dollop. Anyway, that's my time. Thank you so much. Oh my God, that's so fun. Thank you.
Marry the man, everybody! I relate to your pain of being the fat kid, but you know, life works out, and now my butt bigger than most people's head. It's okay. I had a big butt before J-Lo. It was not appreciated. It was not appreciated, but now it is. Yay! We're gonna keep it going. We're bringing up our next comedian, Jazmyn Ortega.
Hey guys, like you said, my name is Jazmyn Ortega, and I'm half Cuban, half Mexican. So I identify as a loud, spicy, in your face, Floridian. What can I say? I love my cultures, but I've never been to either country. There's so much I don't know. But as long as I can make a bong from an orange, or a coconut, or a pipe bomb, I know I'm from Florida. Cuban, Mexican, that's a little harder. I don't check all those boxes. I can only roll my R's on accident. Like, I can't think about it. Like, when I do, I make a noise like I'm snoring, but also having a nightmare. I used to hope no one would notice, but like I said, my name's Jazmyn Ortega, and I've given up on that. I also have no natural sense of rhythm. No one in my family dances. Everyone's either too tired, too religious, or too cross-faded. So I went to dance school for 6 years to clap on 2 and 4. I just had no concept of a downbeat. Like, I counted every song as a waltz. You see me on the floor like 1, 2, 3, hit 1, 2, 3. Like, I knew that there was a beat. I just thought that, like, every beat was fair game. You just clap when you were feeling it. Really? I was that girl in choir going, Ezekiel saw the wheel, way up the hill. I can't tell you how devastated I was when I finally heard 1, 2, girl. No! No natural sense of rhythm. I think it's a side effect because I'm a crossbreed. But then again, I also recently found out that my grandparents are second cousins. So if I'm gonna examine the side effects, I should probably examine the inbreeding. But this is great. I'm not a mutt, a half-breed, a disgrace to both cultures. I'm just inbred. I can blame this for everything. No R's, white passing, inbreeding. Except I don't call myself white passing. I call myself white passably. Because, like, no one truly believes I'm white. They just don't think I'm brown. They'll start trouble. Joke's on them. I'm behind enemy lines. I got Matt Jazmyn on all of you. Fun fact, I also ended up straight passing. Don't get me wrong, I am a fiend for the D.
Woo, amen.
God bless.
Hosanna.
But I'm also here for the V. The LMNOP. I just want someone to rub up on me. Because I'm pansexual. Which means first and foremost, I just want to vibe with you. I'll figure out how to mount you later. Truly. I don't care if all you have is a working elbow. Give me a big grin, a good conversation. I'll give you my naked body. Which is weird because I'm not, like, into bodies. I just don't get it. I've never seen someone thought, look at them arms. All I have is, like, an artistic appreciation. Like, I used to go to bars to pick up hookups. Like, I was at the Westminster Dog Show. Looking at people like, proportionate features. Well-groomed. A fine physical specimen. Best in happy hour. I will say, though, I love macking on drunk girls at the club. Because they always pull away for a moment and say, just so you know, I'm actually straight, okay? I say, for sure, I'll go down on you. You can be the straight one. And then you take that girl home. You rock her world. You make her frittata in the morning. You make her forget she ever had a man. At least I hope that's what happens. You see, I'm actually the one with the man. He's here tonight. Hey, Michael.
Hey, it's hey.
I love him. I just resent the timing. Like, I've never had a boyfriend before. I spent years wondering what was wrong with me. I finally figure out that I'm just kind of gay. And now you're here? That's not fair! I had a plan! I was gonna watch blue as the warmest color and everything! But I don't know how to figure out the queer thing earlier. I think it's because my first experience with a girl, we didn't take make out as a verb. We just pressed tongues together and timed it. Yeah, just a couple of 12-year-olds going, okay. Now do you feel stimulated? I'd also always have, like, a best gal pal growing up. Closer to her than anyone. And I would just think, well, she's my BFF. Why wouldn't I want to kiss and wonder if her breasts are soft? She's my person. One girl, we were at a sleepover cuddling. I turned to her and said, I've never felt so close to someone. It's like I'm in love with you or something. She said, but you're not actually in love with me, right? No. It's just our anniversary. I'm sentimental. Thanks so much, guys. Let's keep this going.
Jazmyn Ortega, everybody! Give her a round of applause. Yes. Oh goodness. I need to warn everybody, this is going to be my last hosting gig until the end of the show. It's going to become like a David Lynch movie. The part of Thomas Bottoms is going to be replaced by someone else. I did a filming thing where a comedian, I compared him to like the David Lynch of comedy, and I wanted to be his Laura Dern. And it actually worked out that way because he was supposed to interview me, and then at the last minute it was this different guy. Like the whole cast got changed. I don't know how that happened. And he kept asking me if I dreamed of him all last night. I'm like, I didn't know you existed. And then I made a mistake and I called him Pug. And he said, my name's Pugs. And I said, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were plural. I think we're shoving it in wrong. The mic stand, everybody. Yay!
Mic stand.
Yes, I learned recently that I apparently did not grow up in good neighborhoods. I did not know that. I lived a year in Window Rock, Arizona. That is the capital of the Navajo Reservation. I was one of 3 white kids in my elementary school. And yes, I knew then I was gay, because I was in kindergarten and me and the neighbor boy would go up in the mountains and play the Blue Lagoon. He would take off his shirt and I'd just paint on my eyebrows with a Sharpie like Brooke Shields. And so I lived in Indianapolis, Indiana, in Country Lake Apartments off Post Road. And someone's saying, ooh, okay, there's a local, yeah. I didn't know it was ghetto until someone from New Lenox took me to my neighborhood last year. And I was like, oh wow, it's cleaned up. Like, there's no homeless, there's no drug deals taking place, the street gang is gone. Now mind you, the street gang was called the Streetwalkers. And I told them that had a different meaning, and after they beat the crap out of me, it's like, you call yourself what you want. It's okay. And I was like, wow, they painted, the potholes were fixed, like the neighborhood was nice. They removed the graffiti of the F word that was misspelled. They forgot the C. And I remember living there and I liked it. Like, you know, they introduced me to Run DMC, LL Cool J, Def Jeff, like Cool Mo D. How you like me now? Hey, and I loved Anita Baker, still do. And then my parents moved me to Parker, Colorado. New money, mountain people, part of the 5%. They were so white, I felt I had to wear sunglasses to class. And then Vanilla Ice came out. No! He dressed like the new kids on the block. No! I still have trauma from Parker, Colorado. Of course, I thought I was punk, so I painted on like pink bangs and green eyebrows and wore my Doc Marten because apparently I thought punk was Jem and the Holograms. Show's over, Synergy. I told that to my therapist and about being bullied relentlessly. And she said, what did you expect? I said, well, I didn't expect being bullied for 3 years for a hairstyle I had for 2 months, and thanks for saying I asked for it. And I should have known, living in Window Rock, Arizona, don't trust the white man. Too soon. Too soon. All right, so we're going to bring up our next comedian, and then you'll see me at the end of the show. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've had the pleasure of working with this woman twice already on a Bottoms of the Barrel radio show. We did the Darren Super Fun show, the final production, and I hope to work with her soon because she knows about video editing. Give a round of applause for Yaz Bat!
Headphones in my pocket. Thanks. How are you guys? Awesome. I was also
one of 3 white children in my I'm Yaz, I'm from Detroit, but not a lot of people think I'm from Detroit because I sound like I know how to read. I get it, Rainbow Fish was not about a gay fish. So check that out. You can get it on Amazon Prime. I haven't been back to Detroit in a while. The last time I went back, my grandma got evicted to heaven. That's what we're gonna call it. And it's not sad. It's not sad. It was actually quite comical. She didn't leave a will, so a lot of stuff up for grabs, which was pretty nice. But it just made me think. So at the funeral, and I don't know if you've ever been to a black funeral. The thing about black funerals is a lot of people will go. They don't know who died. But if they know who cooked, they'll still show up. So that's the motivation. And we were literally fighting people away, and they're like, well, I already took the day off, so I need an obituary. You know, I know I just stumbled in here. I thought this was Aretha Franklin. I thought it was still going on. But it just made me think, and I would rather have my funeral now than when I'm dead, just so I can make sure the guest list is right and make sure that it's catered correctly. And I'm not afraid to die. Everyone's gonna die. I'm not afraid to die. I just don't want to be dead before my mom because I don't want to be put on a t-shirt. And so that's my anxiety. I'm doing Talkspace. I'll give you my coupon code later. I don't want to be put on a t-shirt because I know my mom is going to pick the worst picture of me from 2006 when I was really, really into Avril Lavigne. And she's going to put that on the t-shirt, right? And they're not going to use 100% cotton because they don't do that. We're in Detroit, right? And I know that they're not going to use fabric softener, and then there's going to get cracks in my face from the dryer because they're like, why use fabric softener? It can just smell like Tide. And then my little sister's going to come home from the club, and she's going to be drunk, and she's going to be with her friend, and her friend's going to be like, hey, girl, you got a night-night shirt that I can sleep in? And she's going to toss the shirt, and it's going to have me in my face with the cracks on it. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. You know, that's what's keeping me up at night. And that's just not how I saw myself. That's not what I want for myself. So I've been trying to be better friends to my friends. I'm trying to make a cis white male friend. I know you guys get a lot of slack, but you're good for something. Because I know if I have a white guy friend, he's gonna challenge my mom. My mom, this is gonna be her argument. She's gonna be like, so which one of you carried her for 9 months? No, nobody? No one carried her for 9 months. No one, she came out foot first. She kicked out of me. No one carried her for 9 months. Oh, I think we're going to put her on a t-shirt. And then the white guy's going to come up. He's going to be like, now listen, Nicole. No one's arguing with you about who carried her for 9 months. We know you did it. But Yaz wanted to be blown into a bong or ashes, and that's what we're going to do. He would not let it. And I'm just like, listen, if you guys put me on a t-shirt, I'm going to come back and I'm going to hunt everyone. And I know what you're thinking. That's ridiculous, right? Because there's no such thing as black ghosts. I agree. Black people don't usually stick around. We're like, done enough time. Let's go. Just historically, you look like Casper, white, right? Boo, white. Ku Klux Klan, they're white. Never seen a black ghost. It's just like any ghost movie. It's always like a Thomas or like an Anglo-Saxon name. It's never Deshaun. Deshaun is not hunting people. It just doesn't happen. So, I mean, I would try. I would try my darndest to come back and I'd just be a really, really petty ghost. I would just smoke half the stuff and then put it in I don't know, the garbage disposal, stuff like that. Sign people up for child support. Track them down. Get that going. But I was just like, man, this funeral was really it was kind of bad. I mean, entertainment wise, I headlined, but everyone else, I was just like, oh, who picked this lineup? You know what I mean? No, rest in peace to my grandma. It was weird going home. So I have 8 brothers and sisters, and my grandma, she passed like right around my birthday, which was like sweet because I just started a new job, and she was like my job gap, you know. So it kind of played in together. People on LinkedIn were telling me like, "Oh, I'm sorry for your loss." I'm just like, "Yeah," but come through, Grandma. Like I get bereavement, like sweet. She gave me one good favor before she left. But I just started a new job, and this job is crazy. What benefits they'll give you? They didn't give me Martin Luther King Day off. Martin Luther King. I'm like, you guys know who Martin Luther King is? Okay, I don't know. It's not Martin Lawrence King. Like it's Martin Luther. They didn't give me Martin Luther King Day off, and I was really surprised because you have to think about it. Like Martin Luther King, right? One of the most influential womanizers of the civil rights movement. Like me as a black woman, he would have wanted me to get off. And that's a slow burn. I work from home, so I didn't do anything anyway. Usually pretending to type. And I'm watching King of the Hill. That's what it is. But I've been trying to be better friends to my friends, especially some of my older friends. I had a friend, and we hadn't talked since 6th grade. Just because I gave her some wrong information, and it wasn't on purpose, you know. Like I wasn't trying to scorn her. This is how it went down. We were in 6th grade, and she comes to me. I was the smartest kid in the class, which didn't mean much. It just mean I didn't throw paper. Not sure. So I was there every day. I never forget to this. She comes to me and she's like, "Hey," "Hey, I think I have an STD," and I'm like, "Whoa, this has not come on Degrassi yet." So, but you know, let's just think logically. Okay, so STD, diseases are made up of, you know, bacteria. It's like, just spray some Lysol down there. And she did not talk to me for the rest of our lives. I'm 26 now. She finally told me, she was like, "You know, that didn't quite work out the way you thought." And I'm just like, "Whoa. Look, listen, did you spray or did you use the wipes? Because that's totally different. That is not, you have to follow the doctor's order to the T." That's not my fault. I'll leave you guys with this. Like I'm saying, be better friends to your friends. I was watching Winnie the Pooh, right? You guys know Pooh? And he lives in 100-acre woods. It's like the property that my ancestor dreamt of. I was watching it, and Pooh and Piglet are hanging out. They walk past Eeyore. They stop and they say, "Hey, Eeyore, what's up? What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, nothing. I'm just trying to build a shelter." He's trying to build a shelter of sticks. They go back to Pooh's house. I looked it up on Zillow. Pooh has a 2-story colonial. He has a room just for discarded honey pots. Let that sink in. Be better friends than your friends. I'm Yaz, you guys.
No, I am not Thomas Bottoms. I'm Phil Burns. And I had a dream once too, but I had to get up and wipe my hands off. What?
You're not in the frame.
That's okay. I never got busted either. It's better?
I'm on YouTube.
Thank you. Yeah, well, you can hear the voice. You don't have to see the face. It's a story of my life. I have a face for radio. That's why I get smashed in the face with a radio. You were talking about hookups at the Westminster Dog Show? Now I guess we know the answer to the famous question. Who let the dogs out? By the way, I never had a boyfriend either, and I still won't have one. I'm completely straight. Anybody see these commercials with Brian Urlacher for the hair club for men? Yeah. What is it? Those are, you have to put down like $500 to have hair put in. And I know a couple of people here that should have it done. but I won't mention their names, Thomas or Jeff. Actually, I've been thinking about my own hair club business. A lot cheaper. All I need is an industrial strength stapler and carpet remnants. $50. The insurance is on you, but $50. So, where's Robert? Did Robert leave?
Right here.
Right here, yeah. You keep talking about old people, you're gonna find out what it's like to get an old person there irate. Yeah. I don't have to go to the library to figure out my smartphone. I know how to use my smartphone. I've spent X number of years in IT.
Oh.
Woo! Yeah. I'm a fridge smoker. Bring it up again. But anyway, what is it with with the lockout? We're going on over 3 weeks now. I gotta check. I get Social Security now. When I turn 65, I'm gonna get a job because I can't afford to live on that either. I gotta check. I got a deposit from Social Security for over $1,100. For what? I get my check at the end of the month. Now, I know it's direct deposit. I don't have to worry about. I completely forgot about the lockout. The office was closed. I wanted to ask them about it. Oh, well. My memory is kind of going its own way now. That once you hit a certain point. People say once you hit a certain point, you start losing your memory and forgetting things. Yeah, because you have knowledge that you keep attaining. And the old stuff you should remember is getting pushed out. So when you start to say something and you just... I don't know what I was going to say. I'm going to bring up the next comic because I know I'm really doing well up here. Andrew Burcastro.
Oh, yeah, hey.
Andrew.
All right. Oh, I'm so prepared for this, folks. How are we doing? Good?
Woo!
Right. Awesome. It's great to be here. Great to be. All right. Well, I forgot where I could stand. All right. It's great to be right here in this small area. But it's great to be here in America. I love America. Main thing I like about America is it's the only place in the whole world where no one gets murdered over soccer. I'm a big fan of that. Pretty much everywhere in the whole world they murder soccer, guys. I don't know if you know that. It's kind of the human condition to murder people over soccer, guys. We're the weird ones for not doing it. If you guys know about this one country, the Ivory Coast, they stopped the Civil War because of soccer, guys. I don't know if you know that. It's because they needed those bullets to kill people over soccer. That's why. That's why they did it. I don't know. America is great. I don't like the president, though, at all. I do, well, I really actually like how he brought fast food into the White House. That's what I would do. But pretty much everything else I don't like about him. The one thing he did today I'm on board with. But I don't know, like the main I don't like the president, but like the main reason I don't like the president is like because he's the president. I don't need a second reason to hate the president, guys, okay? If you've ever liked the president, you're wrong. Sorry. That's how that works. Because they're all bad. They're all bad. Like some people are like, there's some presidents I would like. I would like it if Abraham Lincoln was the president. I don't think you would, all right? So I don't know if you know this, guys. Abraham Lincoln, he gave a famous speech where he was like 77 years ago, and that whole time he could have just said 87. But he was like, no, I'm the president. I should probably show off how I know big words. That's what I'll do. I don't know if you guys know this. Abraham Lincoln, he was 6'4", which is very tall by today's standards. And he was walking around in the 1800s with a giant top hat, just in case he wasn't the biggest person every single time. Right? That's very insecure. Not my president, guys, okay? And finally, I don't know if you know this, but Abraham Lincoln, when elected president, was clean-shaven. And then he got a letter from a little kid saying he would look better with a beard. Now, guys, I don't know about you, but I want a president that makes his own decision, doesn't listen to letters of children, okay? So Jefferson Davis, 1860. That's all I'm saying, guys. Not Jefferson Davis, really. Listen, it's too soon. All right, great. That's funnier than anything I'm going to say about it. All right, guys. All right. Now, Christianity is huge in America. This is a very patriotic set I'm doing tonight, guys. Christianity is big in America. I used to read the Bible a lot. I used to read the Bible and I used to go, man, I cannot believe that I'm a better writer than the Lord of all creation. Because for someone who's omnipotent, that guy could use a writing class. That's just how I feel. I don't know if you guys know the Bible, but there's a guy in there named Lazarus, and Lazarus is the guy who dies, and then Jesus brings him back from the dead, and then this isn't in the Bible, but then that guy has to go and die a second time, which was entirely Jesus' fault. But like, do you think his family took it seriously the second time, or do you think they were just like kind of thought he was faking it? Like, you know, hey, you going to Lazarus' funeral? Nah, I went to the first one, so I'm fine. I grew up Catholic, so I used to go to confession. I used to go in there and I'd be like, all right, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been 8 months since the last confession. I had premarital sex twice, count it. And then the priest would go, you know, son, in God's eyes, one time is too many. I'd be like, yeah, it is. I know. Like I said, I'm from a Catholic family, so believe it or not, my mom is the 8th kid out of 21 kids. Oof. And most people it's not, to be honest with you. But some people do believe me, because it's true. Like, the thing about having, like, 21 aunts and uncles is it's like now anything I do already runs in my family. So it's fine. No new ground to cover. My one aunt was dating this guy who said he was the world hacky sack champion. And it's like, it's a good thing he said he was the champion, right? Can you imagine if it was the second place hacky sack guy? What a loser, right? Wasted his whole life. Second place hacky sack guy. I had this one uncle who used to murder people also. And I say used to, because you can't murder people forever, okay? That's going to catch up with you eventually. So it will. I have a cousin who's transgender. And I'm from a conservative family, obviously, so not everyone in my family's on board with that. They're like, oh man, that Sarah's a piece of shit. And I'm like, you know what? Kevin's a piece of shit, okay? He needs to get his life together. Thank you very much. I know. People like lose their mind about transgender people all the time. Some people don't want them in bathrooms. And meanwhile, while all that's happening, bathroom attendants just get a free pass, guys. I don't like it at all. Because who would you rather be around? A transgender person or someone who's paid to watch you pee? I'd rather be around a transgender person because someone's watching me pee. I should be the one getting paid, guys. Okay? That's how that works. But my cousin, he's got it rough, though. Like, some people just aren't going to accept him because of his vagina. And honestly, guys, I spend enough time thinking about my cousin's vaginas. So, like, let's move on. Let's move on from that one. So that's my mom's side of the family. And, on my dad's side of the family, my grandpa was a World War II veteran, which is cool, like, because he was first generation Italian. So it was like you want a free trip back to the old country, all you had to do is shoot his cousins. That was cool. Thank you. Second history joke, folks. It's great. My grandma, though, was recently saying that her parents, my great-grandparents, were in an arranged marriage, which I didn't see coming. But they were in an arranged marriage at 29 and 31, which is really dropping the ball for an arranged marriage, I feel like. It's like, is that an arranged marriage, or is that like a, hey, how about you move out of my basement type scenario? People are like, I don't know, an arranged marriage, it works for some people. Some people do it and it's fine. I don't know. Like, yeah, do what makes you happy. And I think money makes people happy. That's what I think. Like, people say money won't make you happy, and I think those people should have to pay double taxes. Like, right? They don't appreciate it. So, yeah. Like, if money's not going to make you happy, just give me all your money, right? I mean, one of us should be happy. It gets really weird when you mix money and family together, though. Like, it does. Like, I was at work the other day, and my coworker was like, I offered my son $2,000 to get his wife pregnant, $2,000 to have a kid, and he still wouldn't do it. And then my other coworker was like, that's a great deal, I'd do it, and they laughed. And guys, in my head, I was like, that's not a good deal. Because one time, I spent $500 to not have a kid. So, like, mathematically, doesn't work out, okay? Like, I know, and it was the full $500, too. Like, we walked in there, and the person behind the counter was like, are you two going to split this? And I'm like, no, I'm going to pay for this whole thing, because I have traditional values, okay? All right, thanks, guys. You've been great.
Give it going for Andrew. Jack, I have a question.
Okay.
Do you and Trump share the same Adderall dealer?
I think he gets his from Pence.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Pence or
Pence?
Same thing.
Mary, you said you work out. You work out. Where do you work out at?
The gym in my office building.
Oh, does it like a Planet Fitness or anything?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I joined a Planet Fitness. First Monday of the month, free pizza. Nothing like sitting in a massage chair with a whole large pizza after you get done working out. And I've seen people do this. I mean, if you take a slice or two, you don't take the whole friggin' pizza. Sorry. And then the first Tuesday, bagels in the morning. Okay, carbs to help work out. Yeah, all right, fine. Let me see, what else? Andrew, I'm surprised you didn't talk about mermaids. Or in this year, you'd have to refer back to the Aquaman movie. That's about the closest thing you're going to see to mermaids now.
All right.
And Thomas, earlier you were talking about Shamar Moore.
Yes.
Do you know he's almost 50? He's 48.
Black don't crack. I got mine from him.
That's why he works out. Yeah, well, we don't care. We don't want to know what you fill your crack with.
Oh!
Too much information. Nothing personal. But yeah, I mean, this has got to be, you know. Oh, and the other thing about Abraham Lincoln, and Jeff brought this up. He was also a great vampire killer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he had in his top hat. He had stakes, and he had them in right because the points were going up and not down. Otherwise, he'd be dead. He would have. Never mind. So I'm going to bring up the next comic. I don't know if you want to give this guy a big round of applause or not. He is from Indiana. On the plus side, he is an atheist. But I'm not. Now, see, the thing is, he doesn't believe in God. I believe in God, but I don't believe in religion. Okay, so I don't know which one of us is messed up. No, neither one of us are messed up. Jeff Hawks.
Yeah!
All right, let's give it up for the comedians tonight. Let's give it up for our host, Thomas Bottoms. And, of course, Mikey Chip working the controls there. And maybe Phil Burns. Anyway, I kid with Phil Burns. Phil, you are the Ethel to my Lucy. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest.
Lucy?
But I want to hit on something Andrew said. Money doesn't buy happiness. Give me all your money. That sounds like the same business plan for every televangelist I've ever fucking seen in my life. Sorry. Yeah. I lost a friend today. I am an atheist. I'm very proud of it, actually. I'm an all-American atheist. I love saying that because it angers a lot of right-wing conservatives. You can't be an American and be an atheist because this is a Christian country. These are the same people because they did a study a couple of years ago and they asked, who is your favorite American? And there was a small but very large majority that said, Jesus Christ. Which proved to me flat out, wow, there's a large majority of people in this country that don't understand geography. But I'm fascinated by the things that have happened recently, like the dinner that happened at the White House. Yeah, candlelight Burger King in the White House. Wow. Remember all those athletes that turned down the White House? I bet they're eating crow, right? They feel so left out. They missed the opportunity to eat candlelit Burger King in the White House while some 70-year-old feeble-minded moron goes on and on about a wall. Oh my God, they're missing it. That was the most white trash thing I've ever heard. The only thing missing from it is that they served it on like NASCAR commemorative plates, or if you're a redneck, the really good china. But I try to keep up with politics. One thing that very upset me and I found very funny at the same time, a couple months ago, I don't know if any of you know this, but Arkansas tried to pass a law to allow rapists to sue their victims if they have an abortion. Yeah.
That's messed up, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Like, literally, there were senators, politicians in Arkansas that thought to themselves one day, you know whose rights have been trampled on for far too long? Rapists. Like, literally, that's the reason people don't visit Arkansas. Have you ever heard happily the phrase, hooray, we're going to Arkansas? That phrase has never been uttered in the English language or any other foreign language as well. Like, no one ever even moves to Arkansas for good reasons. Like, you don't happily go there because fortune bestowed upon you. You moved to Arkansas because things in your life took a dark turn. Like you squealed on the mob or something, or you're trying to hide out from something. Like, you don't go there for that good reason. Plus, I know this is completely spearheaded by the pro-life movement. And to pro-lifers, I have to say, if you're so far into your ideology that you end up defending rapists, maybe you're wrong. I'm throwing it out there. It's a possibility. Work it out with whatever you're going on. As Phil did say, I am an atheist. I'm a happy atheist. I've been an atheist my whole life, like everyone else. I just chose not to go to church. I get asked the weirdest questions as an atheist. Like, I've had Christians ask me, why don't you believe in God? I'm like, give me proof. And their proof, this is actually an answer, well, there's the Bible. Oh my God, you have a book? Oh, you've changed my mind. With that ideology, then that means my comic book collection is further proof that Spider-Man exists, correct?
Yes!
I can't wait to go to New York to see the web splitter in action. But I actually like to troll Christian websites. And when I say troll, I'm not a normal troll. I don't jump in. I don't want to argue with them. I don't want to put out my views. I don't want to get into. I just like to see the things they write. Like I'm almost like I study them like they're a new creature. Like, I don't want to disturb their habitat or their actions. I just want to see what they do. I'm like the Jacques Cousteau of crazy religious fanatics. And I'm fascinated by it. My favorite site is on Facebook. There's a Facebook post, and I'm not making this up, a group of people, Christians for Trump.
Yep.
Oh.
That's actually a thing, and they have a large following. That is my favorite group of whole. Christians for Trump. That's like vegans for more bacon eaters. Let's be honest. And you hear the weirdest things like, God chose Trump. It is his God. He chose him. He's going to be our leader. I love the fact that they do that. Because if you don't know the numbers, 81% of all evangelicals support Trump still. And as an atheist, I get asked, does that upset me? No, it does not upset me. In fact, I love that. I've never heard a better argument for atheism in my life. Are you kidding? If we ever went out there recruiting and put up posters, he'd be the poster child. We'd be like, hey, be an atheist. Otherwise, this guy right here, this is who you gotta. This is the dude you gotta chum around with. Because he asked a question during his campaign. They asked him a question about his tax evasion with the IRS. And they asked him, the IRS seems to be investigating you every year. That's a true fact, by the way. Why do you think they do that? Boldface, he looked into the camera and he said, well, I think they just do it because of my strong Christian values. Yeah, that's why they do it. Yeah, that's like me saying I get pulled over because I'm black. Seriously. If they're investigating every year, maybe it's because you're a criminal. I'm working that out in my own mind here. Which, by the way, he has a lot of criminal problems, doesn't he? Don't you love how it's a witch hunt? I love that. I love that. Because whether you hate or love Trump, you have to admit that even if he is innocent, he's not doing a good job of being that, is he? Seriously, my 12-year-old niece does a better job putting on the portrayal that she's innocent from pulling a cookie out of the cookie jar than our president does. But I'm almost out of time, and I want to end on this. And it's an important joke. And it deals with religion, because my main thing about religion is I always ask about how they always say God saves. They always blame him for when things go right, but when things go wrong, they don't seem to blame him. So I always ask two religious people, well, what about, if he's so loving, what about kids with cancer? And the answer is always, well, it's part of God's plan. And my reaction is always like, sounds like a crappy plan. Like, he's the God. He's the creator of everything. You think he couldn't go back to the drawing board and figure out a better plan? But they always accept it because he's God. Like, you wouldn't accept it if it was a normal person that came up to you and said, like, if it was your best friend, and he said, hey, I've got a plan for all civilization and happiness. Oh, cool. Well, throw it by me. What is it? All right. Step 1. First, we're going to have to kill a bunch of kids with a flesh-eating disease. You'd look at him weird, wouldn't you? You might even call the authorities on him. That sounds like the thing you'd actually involve them in. The only other excuse they always have, too, is like, well, the reason kids have to die of cancer is because Jesus needs kids in heaven. So, an older man with a beard and a robe needs an abundance of kids, and that doesn't sound creepy to you. That literally sounds like the background check of a dude on To Catch a Predator, but you just accept it. But anyway, that's all the time I have, so let's give it up for Phil!
You get it in and it falls down.
Yeah. Weeble wobble falls, but doesn't fall down.
I had problems too, just like.
Okay, quick question. How many in here, other than Jeff, and I guess myself, are actual atheists? Okay, they almost had proof. Last Easter, that Jesus was real.
He was hiding the eggs.
No. There was an episode of The Walking Dead. It was based in that time, and the rock moved out of the way of the hole in the ground, and Jesus came up, and Rick came up and stabbed him in the back of the head. And there goes the proof that Jesus was real.
The Rock was there?
No, the rock moved.
Oh, he did? He found a better role?
Oh! You did your set. Let me have mine. No wonder Tigers think they're young. Yeah, that was a Rodney joke. I'm a big Rodney fan. I know, who cares, right? The guy that told that bit about the soldier statues, he left. I'm glad. Because I know he didn't mean all soldier statues, because the statue of the Iwo Jima Marines, you don't get rid of that one. So we're at our last comic. If you count me, our second to last comic. Thank you. It's almost the end of the show, and I'm going to bring up the last comic, Pat Walton. Yay! Just sit there and wait.
Thank you. Give it for Phil Burns one more time, everybody. Doing a great job. I really did like how when Phil was introducing himself, he made it clear that he is completely straight, as if anyone would have doubted otherwise. So, thanks for letting us know that one. So, I'm from New Orleans. I moved here about a year ago. Yeah, great city in the world. And there's a little chant that I want to lead you guys in that we do down in the bayou. So I'm gonna go ahead and start, and I'm gonna say something, you're gonna say something, all right? So when I say Louisiana, you say fast. Louisiana, fast. Louisiana, fast. Louisiana, fast. That's the Popeye slogan, y'all. Yeah. Oh man, I love me some Popeyes.
Yep.
I like my Popeyes like I like my women. Spicy, not mild. All right, cool. That's where we're at. I think Popeyes is legitimately one of the greatest exports from the state of Louisiana. Between that, like open container, bounce music, it's pretty good. Jazz, I guess, if you're into that kind of thing. Just out of curiosity, does anyone remember where they were when they first heard about the $5 big box? Because that was low-key a life-changing moment for me. Like that changed the chicken game, in my opinion. That's actually what converted me from KFC to Popeyes, I think, was the $5 big box. Like, that was money moves, for sure. But at the end of it, I think it's kind of weird that I remember that better than, and I guess more lovingly than I remember the first time I had sex. In fact, I think it's weird to think about the fact that I've had Popeyes. That's definitely better than some sex I've had, right? I mean, and I'm not saying that all Popeyes is better than all sex I've had, right? That'd be ridiculous. But like, there's definitely a spectrum that like overlaps. You know, like it's like best sex I've had, and then like best Popeyes I've had, and then like worst sex I've had, and then like worst Popeyes I've had. Like there's overlap. And you're probably thinking, all right, but maybe it's because you're, you know, bad at sex. And like, yeah, probably. Right? I'm a straight white dude. We like practically invented being bad at sex. Right? You know, there's one guy who's over here, he's messing around with wood, and he's like, and he's like, fire, and everyone's like, oh, yeah. Another guy's over here, he's like, the wheel, and everyone's like, oh, yeah. And the one dude's like, I disappointed my partner sexually, and everyone's like, ah! We did it! Oh, it's like the holy trinity of straight white dudes. The wheel, fire, and being bad at sex. Oh, man. Actually, I think worse than my first time having sex was actually the first time going down on a woman. There's a woman laughing in the audience because she knows. She knows. It's not a great experience. That's the too long didn't read. The first time I was down there, unfamiliar territory, hadn't done my proper research, didn't know the terrain very well. And so I was down there and I didn't really know what to do, so I started just kind of yoshiing around a little bit. So I was just like, but. And she wasn't liking that a lot. So I decided to try to draw the alphabet with my tongue. Because apparently women like that because it tells them that you know how to read. Apparently a favorable trait in a partner. But speaking of that, there's this like weird inside joke between all my friends that I don't know how to read. And it's fine, it's fun, but it's not fun when someone not in our friend group like joins our friend group and someone makes a joke about how I don't know how to read, and their response is always like, oh my god, really? Like, no one's ever like, oh, it's like, no one takes it as a joke right off the bat. And I'm kind of offended by that. I don't know if it's like my folksy charm, if it's the crooked teeth, like I don't know what's selling the fact that I don't know how to read. Like, with the same belief that like if you ask someone when the next train's coming, they're like, oh, 5 minutes. They're like, okay, sure. They're like, yeah, Tad doesn't know how to read. They're like, yeah, that scans. Mm-hmm. I could see that for sure. Oh man, I have awful handwriting. Cool, this is rough. It's dark up here, y'all. Man, I need better lights. I have this weird problem where I'm starting to feel old, which I think is strange because I look like I'm 14. And it's because it's not like I'm getting hit with like a sudden urge of responsibility. You know, it's not like I'm like getting aches or anything. I just keep like dozing off in sunbeams. Right? Which is something I feel only old people and cats do. And so, you know, just a nice ray of sun comes in. I'm just like, oh yeah, that's nice. I'm just like tired and groggy for the rest of the day. I'm showing up places late and tired. People are like, Tad, where have you been? Why are you so sleepy? And I'm just like, oh yeah, man, I just dozed off in the sunbeam. And they're like, cool, but it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm gonna work on that one. Cool. So I really like 90s movies about dogs that play sports. Anyone else? Like their genre? It's probably, a lot of people like horror. That's probably my go-to. Just out of curiosity, like what's your favorite 90s movie about a dog that plays sports?
Oh, Air Bud.
Air Bud. That's a good answer, man. A lot of people don't say Air Bud. I had one lady say Pocahontas once. Isn't that something? I was like, I need to rewatch that movie. Air Bud, man. I love me some Air Bud. What a great film. I think it's kind of weird, though. Like, what happened to the kid that was cut from the team so that Air Bud could play? Right? Like, what's that kid's story? There's some, like, 9th grader out there. We call him Little Jimmy, who, like, worked real hard all summer on his free throws, on his three-pointers. He shows up to practice, tryouts, and he, like, makes the team. He's super stoked about it, right? He goes home. His parents are really excited. Jimmy's never really been good at things, so, like, they take him out to Applebee's, like, the works, right? And then a couple weeks later, Jimmy gets called into the coach's office. And coach is like, Jimmy, we got to talk, bud. You've been doing great. We've been really productive this season, but there's a stop. that shoots 70% from the field. And they're all about W's at that high school. So poor Jimmy is kicked off the team, right? He's heartbroken, but he doesn't give up. And so next year he's like, you know what? I'm gonna try real hard. I'm trying for the baseball team. And he shows up to baseball tryouts. Who's there knocking home runs out the park? Freaking Airbud, man.
Yeah, we don't know.
Junior year, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna do it big this time. Try for the football team. Shows up. Guess who's there? Throwing touchdowns, getting all the girls' attention. Airbud. And then of course Airbud, prom king. He can't not be. He's a triple sport athlete, right? And guess who he took to prom? The girl Jimmy asked. That's what he does. And he probably went to the pros. Probably had like a 30 for 30 special about his life, like Alicia's the Beaches or something, right? Probably had Twitter beef with Michael Vick for obvious reasons. Airbud. All right, I'm leaving you with this one. I have this weird thing where my mom and I don't ever talk except when we're hammered drunk. And we'll either FaceTime each other or text each other. And one time I texted my mom, and I was like, hey, Mom, do you eat ass? And the next morning I got a response, and she responded with, no. You are a sick individual. You disgust me. Which to me felt like a detective who's been hard on this case for a while. Just a serial killer. Like it's been 3 weeks, 7 bodies, just racking up, and he's like burning the candle at both ends, right? Like every time he feels like he gets close, he feels like he's further away. And then he's sitting outside, chain smoking his 8th cigarette of the day, and this patrol officer comes out and he's like, "Sir, we found him." And he follows the patrol officer back inside, and he walks through the halls and he sees this monster, right, sitting in a detention cell. And he walks in, he slams his hands on the table, he looks this man dead in the eyes and goes, "You are a sick individual. You disgust me." That's what I am to my mom, y'all. To her, I'm just a Ted Bundy of eating ass, right? And then she has the nerve right after to say, "Oh, does your father know about this?" I don't know, Mom. Does he? I feel like y'all should have that conversation way before we did, right? Like, how would that conversation go with me and Dad, right? Hey, Dad, do you eat ass? Yeah, but don't tell your mother. All right, guys, I'm Dad Walters. This is your host one more time. Thomas Bottom. Have a great night.
Yeah! Ted Walters, everybody. Talking about a subject I don't even brown nose. Give a round of applause, yes. Ted, I love New Orleans. And the first time I went down to New Orleans, I went down in March. It was 55 degrees and rainy, and I loved it. And then I went back for Labor Day. Yes, I went to Southern Decadence, hit the quarter. Notice how I pronounce it, the quarter. I know about Jeans and R&O's out in Metairie. And shout out for them. Jeans Po' Boy, amazing food. I hit the quarter. It was 85 degrees outside, 90% humidity. Of a breeze. I was dying there because I live in Chicago. And my friend, who's a New Orleans local, was like, "Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool." Yeah, I can't live in New Orleans. It's too hot down there. I have to call out President Fast Food. Last night, I hope there was a presidential bathroom available for the guests. I mean, if you go to the White House for a dinner and they serve you McDonald's, I don't know. That sounds like when I was coming home from the bar last Friday and I saw there was a Valentine's Day special at White Castle. Let's take a moment and imagine the man surprising his fiancée by taking her to White Castle. Just imagine this woman. Now, the only thing I can say in the woman's defense is there is something that a woman is expected to offer her man once a year, Valentine's Day or her birthday. If he takes you to White Castle, that's not on the menu. This has been Bottoms of the Barrel here at Shakers. Give a round of applause for Joe behind the bar. I only bought 2 shots tonight, so hey guys, buy me a shot on your way out. A $4 Fireball shot. There's also a $4 mixed drinks and $3 domestic bottles. Give a round of applause for Joe, everybody, if we've been drinking. We've had amazing comedians tonight. We've had Trevor Gertonson, Harry Breitner, Robert Rule, Jack Allen, Mary DeMan, Jazmyn Ortega, Yaz Bat, Andrew Burcastro, Jeff Hawks, Tad Walters, special guest host Phil Burns. I've been your host, Thomas Bottoms. We do this every third Tuesday of the month. We'll be back in February here at Shakers 3160 North Clark. This is going to be on Q4 Radio, AM 1680, Q4.org. Next time you leave your house, be a decent person. Have a good night. Woo!